Well, good evening from US, and perhaps if you're in the other side of the world, good morning. Welcome to the MOBI's Community Innovation Lecture. If you're not familiar with MOBI, it's with the Open Blockchain Initiative is a global nonprofit smart mobility consortium. MOBI and our members are creating blockchain-based standards to identify vehicle, people, businesses, and MOBI Trusted Trip. We're building the Web3 infrastructure for connected vehicle and IoT commerce. Today's presentation is about the future of circular distribution of electric vehicles and batteries. We have two presenters from Aucnet, which is a Japanese company, Mr. Takegawa and Mr. Bird. They will talk about the EV shift that is rapidly reshaping the new car market. That will soon flow into the used car sector. This will result in the need for new levels of information sharing and inspection technologies to accurately and transparently determine the fair value of EVs and the batteries. MOBI's VID, battery ID standards, and blockchain applications will play a significant role in enabling this. Aucnet aims to become the leader in circular distribution platforms for used EVs and batteries. Our presenters are Masayasu Takegawa, he's a member of the board of directors and senior managing executive officer at Aucnet, and also a member of the board of directors of AIS. He heads Aucnet's automobile division. Prior to Aucnet, he's held several positions in Itochu, Enroute, Space Shower Networks, Ishimori Productions, and so on. He received his Bachelor of Economics degree from Sophia University in Tokyo. Our other presenter is Jack Bird. He's responsible for new business development at Aucnet, to focus on international expansion of Aucnet's services. Mr. Bird also serves on the board of directors of Aucnet Synergy. Mr. Bird was product and market manager for Volvo Car New Zealand. He received MBA, Bachelor of Commerce, and Bachelor of Arts degrees from the University of Auckland. So before I give the floor to our presenters, please mute yourself. Feel free to ask deposit questions in the chat box. The presenters will allow 15-20 minutes towards the end to answer those questions. So with that, gentlemen, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. My name is Takegawa from Aucnet. First of all, I would like to send my heartfelt prayers to those who are suffering from various tragedies around the world. I truly hope the tragedy ends very soon. Okay, now, thank you to the MOBI Consortium and also to Mr. Fukao of MOBI for letting this happen and talk to you today. Again, I'm Masayasu Takegawa. I work for a listed company, Aucnet Inc. in Tokyo, Japan, which started in 1985. Started from B2B used car auctions, and then expanded to motorcycles, PCs, smartphones, and more. Okay, both of my parents are Japanese, but I learned my English in a Carol Morgan School in Dominican Republic. So can you go? Yeah, baseball and Dominican Republic. I was there from 7 to 10 years old. So I love the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic is a beautiful country in the Caribbean Sea, and Columbus named the island in La Española when he found the island on December 5th, 1492. Some of my memories was one day we were playing with kids, a bunch of elementary school kids, and all of us were elementary school kids, but only I think there was a Jack or Joe or Donald or George, whatever his name was. He was like more like junior high school, big guy. So Jack was a bat and he hit a single to the right field, but he ran to the second base without hesitation. And our right fielder threw to the second base. And Jack was clearly touched out, but he ran to the third base and he's touched out again. But he doesn't care and runs to home base and he's clearly touched out third time. But he's just, cheering himself. So we said, you were out in second base. But Jack's like, oh, why did you throw to third base? Which means the second base was safe, and so third base and then home base. So remember, there is no umpires in kids baseball. So honesty is such a lonely word. Everyone's so untrue. Jack was so untrue. Anyway, we learned some lessons there. Let's talk about business now. Okay. Aucnet Overview. So as I mentioned, we started in 1985, starting the world's first used car TV auction via satellite. I think this was the first online auction ever in the world. I have to check, but I don't think there was any online real-time auction online, throughout. Not the real auction, but on an online auction. And then we established a company called AIS in 1996, and we'll talk about, Zach will talk about that in detail later. And so I think we were like the SDGs company since its inception. Authenticity principle we have. We always search for authentic service and strive to contribute to the development of the industry and involvement in society. That's what our founder said in 1985, 6, at the time of our establishment. So we'll go through that history a little bit later. So can you go to the second one? Established in 1985, we have over 34,000, nearly 35,000 members throughout the world. Okay. Next slide, please. So as mentioned earlier, we started from automobiles and then to motorcycles, PCs, tablets, smartphones, and then luxury bags, Louis Vuitton bags, Rolex watches, and flower business, and also medical equipment. Only flower business is not used flowers, but the others are reuse, recycle kind of business. Reuse. Okay, let's go to the next one. We are listed in the Tokyo stock market. We serve over 40 countries. Employers are increasing a little bit less than 900 consolidated. Annual transaction volume is 448 billion. That's something like $4 billion, Zach?
Yes, that's
Okay.
right.
Okay, that's next page. We have a new metric called gross circulation value. We came up with this figure, a monetary indicator of our economic and environmental impact. So on the left side, we say 379 billion Japanese yen. This is the volume of circulation through our platforms. So it's a transaction value. And on the right side, 50 billion yen. This is something we call gross environmental impact. This is value of CO2 reduced minus CO2 emitted. So we calculated everything we are involved in. And let's say if a car is made a transaction on our platform without moving into the real auction venue, that will have some positive impact on, we reduce the CO2 by not bringing the cars to the real venue. So we calculated that on all of our business. And so we added those two. We have about 429 billion Japanese yen actual GCV, gross circulation value. Since we are growing, we are targeting to go up to, by year 2025, 1,000 billion Japanese yen. That's what, it's like $10 billion.
Yes, about
Yes.
10 billion US dollars.
Okay. So here's how we reduce environmental impact. One is, like I mentioned, online distribution platforms. So reduce physical movement of products and reducing energy consumption and CO2 emissions. And also, the second one is, I don't think it's a common word for you again. We have a capture value name term called used in Japan. So we kind of found out that the Japanese users of cars or smartphones use their cars and smartphones and all bags in a, how do you call that, tenenyi.
They look after them.
They look after
take
the
good care of their
care
possessions.
very much. They maybe everyone has case for the smartphones, and even after 2 or 3 years, it looks very new. So the same thing is true for the cars and all that. So those have some values around the world for especially for buyers around the world. And reuse, yes. So our business is to do a B2B auction for the reuse products. So that will mean we do not have to, we were reducing waste and need for new production. So I think we are like the SDGs company from the start of our business, online and take care of our goods, and the actual goods we have is reused goods. So from this page, Zach will go into details, and I'll come back again. Okay, Zach.
Okay, thank you very much, Takegawa-san. Yes, so this is Zach speaking now. We're sharing a mic. I'm not sure if you can tell which of us is speaking. The title of our lecture is The Future of Circular Distribution of EVs and the Batteries, but I'm going to take you through our present business as well to help explain how we got to where we are and how this will lead us into the future. So our core business being used car auctions, online auctions, as Takegawa-san mentioned. This is a brief sort of simplistic overview of the Japanese automobile value chain. Japan being the third largest automotive market in the world, with around 4.5 million new car sales per year, around 80 million vehicles registered on the roads, and around 7 million used cars transacted each year. So the top box of this slide shows the flow of a car itself from when it's produced by the OEM to a dealer consumer used car sale to the used car B2B, so business to business market in the blue box in the center there. Japan has a very well established B2B market, probably more so I'd say than any other car market, because there are very few consumer to consumer transactions. Almost all cars go through a B2B market before they become a used car. When they are purchased by consumer, of course, they continue to be circulated domestically in the economy, but also going down the slide from the top to the gray box on the right side, this is the export market. Japan also has a very well-established export market for not only whole used cars, but also parts and materials. It's the #1 exporter of used cars in the world as well. On the left-hand side of the screen, parts and materials are also reused and eventually recycled. So not only Japan, of course, has a circular economy for cars. Cars in general, in terms of other products, are well circulated and reused through the used market, but Japan's market is very well developed and established. Aucnet plays a key part in this, that blue box from the previous slide, the B2B used car market. In the center of this slide, we have Aucnet's three main online services: online auctions, network auctions, which connect physical auction sites through our platform, and a shared inventory market, meaning that car dealers can upload their inventory, their car stock, to our system, and our other members can then access that stock, that inventory, to sell to their customers. Our main members on the left-hand side, we have large OEMs, car manufacturers, lease companies, rental companies, etc. The majority of the cars for sale come from these type of companies. On the right-hand side, we see dealers, so car dealers, exporters, and dismantlers. The majority of buyers fall on that side, but it's a very efficient circular process back into the Japan economy, and also our members, a large portion of them export or recycle the products. So we're not exporting ourselves, but our buyers, our customers, will then export. A little more detail on the platform. So our 100% online real-time auctions, as Takigawa-san mentioned, we were the world's first online real-time auction back in 1985. So starting with telephone lines and digital discs to send the information on the cars out to customers, progressing as technology did with satellites, and now, of course, online on the internet. So a key advantage of this is that it reduces the CO2, as mentioned. So instead of transporting the car for sale to a physical auction site, the car stays at the selling dealer until it's sold, and then goes directly to the buyer. So it significantly reduces the transportation or the trucking of cars around the country to physical auction sites. The second service to mention here is the network auctions, which connect physical auction sites. So there's 111 physical auction sites nationwide connected through our platform. Being online, it saves travel time and cost for the buyers, and it also gives access to about 70% of the 7 million used cars transacted in Japan annually. So about 5 million cars are accessed through our platforms each year. A glimpse at the future now. So for EVs and battery circular economy, at the moment in Japan, EVs are still a very small portion of new cars, and an even smaller portion of used cars. It will take several years from the new car sale until it comes into the used market. But around the world and in Japan as well, it's clear, of course, as I'm sure you all know, we're heading towards an EV future. And in this market, the separation of the vehicle and the battery value is going to be important. The battery being the highest value component of an EV needs to be understood, the value of it remaining. So as the battery is used, its capacity decreases over time. But up until it has about 80% capacity, it's still useful for powering a car. Beyond that, it can be reused as energy storage or other uses, and then eventually recycled. But a key to all of this is the battery SOH, or state of health, to evaluate and understand how much capacity is remaining. Mobi has recently released the standard, the white paper on battery SOH. And part of that is that there is currently no standardized SOH available to the industry, which means it's difficult for used car buyers to understand the value of that battery. But the research also indicates that a combination of lifetime usage data of the battery, as well as direct on-the-spot testing, gives the most accurate state of health. So the lifetime usage is things such as how has it been charged? Has it been using rapid charges a lot? If it's rapidly charged, it will decrease the life faster than a slow charge. So things like that. But accessing the data is an issue. So we believe that Mobi and the standards that are being developed and the blockchain platform being developed are a real key to enable and facilitate not only the battery state of health, but also the life cycle tracking of cars and the batteries. Part of this will be required by regulations, as we're already seeing in the EU, but likely to spread around the world as well. So the MOBI standards, as mentioned, we've got vehicle identification, VID, battery identification, and the battery state of health. The ITN, Integrated Trust Network, MOBI and MEF have developed. I'm also excited that Aucnet has signed up to be one of the founding nodes on this network. We really believe this is a great opportunity for us and the other hosts to become leaders in the blockchain platform and providing services from our point of view to the used car industry based on that. A little more detail now on AIS, which Takegawa-san briefly mentioned. It's a subsidiary company of Aucnet, standing for Automobile Inspection System. Established and owned by Aucnet, as well as the major OEMs in Japan, so Toyota, Nissan, Honda, and Mazda, are shareholders of this company because they recognize that a strong used car market, and in particular, clarity and trustworthiness of the evaluation of cars is a key for the new market as well, the new car market. Buyers of new cars want to know that in the future, they will have a reliable used car market to trade their car into, and also an understanding of the value of the car. We have over 200 mobile inspectors Japan-wide. So all of our inspections are mobile. We go to the car, wherever it is, and produce a report that you see on the right-hand side of the slide. So number one, used car inspection by volume, since it was established in 1996, with over 1 million inspections annually. And the combination of that scale and the investment from the manufacturers means we are the de facto standard inspection and rating system. So throughout the industry, everyone, all the auction houses, all of the dealers will understand our inspection report and rating system. If they see a car which is, say, grade 5 or a 3.5 on this report, they will instantly know the condition and therefore the value of that car. Technology currently used in our inspections, initially it was purely manual. So the inspector would go out there, look at the interior, exterior, and chassis of the car and create a report, a paper report. Now we have an app that is developed in-house for inspections that is used to record the condition, and also the OBD2 diagnostic scan. More and more cars have electronic systems, of course, regardless of whether they're actually an EV or not. In particular, driver assistance systems, as we head closer towards autonomous cars and driving, these systems are more and more important. So making sure that they're functioning properly is key for a used car. An issue in checking this is accessing the data in the car. If there are any issues with the systems, of course, manufacturers have their own proprietary information, not publicly available. We work with Denso to access as much data as possible. But in the future, we believe that having a blockchain platform enabling trust and verification and no tampering with such data and controlling who can access what will be really important for furthering this diagnostic scan. And in the future, adding the evaluation of batteries, as I touched on before with the circular economy of cars. But now understanding AIS and how it's the de facto standard, we're currently working on a grading system for batteries. This is just an example image of how it may look. So A, B, C, D, E. An A-grade battery is still fine, 100% or 90%, say, of its capacity remaining can still be used in a car. As it degrades, it may be not suitable, may not have enough power for a car, but it can be reused as stationary storage. Our partners have conducted a trial for self-supporting streetlights, so a solar-powered streetlight storing the power in the battery and then turning the light on at night, and eventually recycled. Again, the data access, as I touched on, is really important for this. Currently, no standard inspection or SOH for batteries, but the blockchain platform controlling how the data is accessed and used will be a key facilitator, especially for EVs and their batteries in the future. Again, the value of the battery is really important for the used car market, which means it's also important for the new car market. So without understanding the value, there's a reluctance for new car buyers to take up an EV, not knowing in the future how it will be evaluated as a used car. So important system for the whole industry is to develop this. Beyond cars, we also have platforms for motorcycles. Similarly to cars, we have real-time online auctions at the core of the business and some other B2B services. One that's different from cars is the rental business. Down the bottom there, I mentioned this motorcycle rental business. We work with motorcycle dealers to provide their stock as rental bikes, over 200 locations throughout Japan, which maximizes the use of that stock instead of sitting idle. It can be available to rent, and also gives us a connection to consumers and helps them participate in the shared and circular economy. Also on bikes, not mentioned on this slide, but there is a possibility, a probability, in fact, that electric motorcycles will become popular in the market in Japan and Asia before electric cars. We're already seeing this two-wheelers and also three-wheeled vehicles in parts of Asia already moving to electric. In Japan, we have Honda has developed its mobile power pack and have announced a business with other manufacturers and Ineos, which is the leading gas station, petrol station chain, to provide battery sharing and swapping services. So as this takes off, again, there are opportunities based on the blockchain to develop state of health and reuse, recycle services for EV motorcycles, possibly before cars, but we're working on both. Away from vehicles now, so the other product lines, I'll just mention briefly and how they connect to the circular economy. Digital products or electronic devices. We have a circular distribution platform taking used devices from wireless carriers, so mobile phone companies, lease companies, and electronics retailers. They come to our facility for inspection and grading and onto our online auctions. With these type of products, one of the keys for the inspection and grading is how we handle personal information on the devices, and specifically how it's erased. So all of the devices are fully erased to remove all of the data before they go to auction. We work with a leading provider of data erasure software. But there's also real opportunities here for a blockchain platform to manage the records of erasure so that a future buyer or a past user can see and verify that it has been fully erased, and also could track other aspects of the products. Another difference between the cars and motorbikes and these devices is that our buyers, a majority of them are global buyers. So we have members all around the world who participate in our online auctions, and we then export the devices to them. Another product line is what we call consumer products, which means used luxury brand items, high-end watches, high-end handbags, and things like that. Started as a B2B business, again, with our online auction platform. We have about 2,500 members. again, around the world for these products. And we also acquired a C, or a consumer-facing retail chain of shops called Gallery Rare on the right side of the screen here, which gives us access to the consumers and enables us to encourage and increase the participation in the circular economy, so trading in or selling their used items and circulating them throughout the world. In terms of inspections here, again, we inspect and grade all of the products before they go to our auctions. And for brand items, the authenticity is really important. So making sure it's not a fake item. No fakes allowed on our platform. But again, tracking the authenticity, such as with an authenticity certificate, is a real opportunity for blockchain to add value for this business as well. Ideally, from when the item is manufactured, it can have its own record on the blockchain, and then as it goes to the used market, the record can be updated. Potentially some interesting history, if it was owned by a celebrity or something like that, could also add value through such a platform. In terms of our overseas businesses, we do have overseas offices and partners around the world. It's been a little challenging, to say the least, over the last couple of years, thanks to the pandemic. But we are looking forward to further expansion overseas as things are opening up and returning to normal. In terms of what businesses they are, the USA, we're focused on the luxury brand items. In Asia, we have digital products and used cars businesses. The used car business is focused on inspections using our systems and intellectual property in Taiwan and Malaysia to provide inspection services there. So this is where, as we develop EV inspections and battery inspections, we're well positioned to create a global system and platform to facilitate trade and understand the value of used batteries and EVs. Finally, in terms of the future, this is a vision we have. One of the ways we can go, it is just a vision at this stage, so don't ask me too many details on this platform. But we have a vision for a blockchain platform to track and tokenize the GEI, which is the gross environmental impact of our business, as Takigawa-san mentioned at the start. So GEI, gross environmental impact, simply put, is the value of the CO2 which is saved through our businesses. So by not moving a car physically to an auction, or by not producing a new item because the used one is circulated, that reduces the CO2 emitted. And then we take away the CO2 that is emitted through our businesses. Of course, we have offices use electricity, there is some movement. So we take away that CO2 emitted, leaving us with the gross environmental impact. And as announced in our recent midterm management plan, this is a key metric for Aucnet. We believe it's part of our responsibility socially and environmentally, but also it's increasingly valued by many companies and individuals as well. So if we're able to visualize and then tokenize this information on a blockchain platform, we think it can really add value to our customers and to consumers who are purchasing the products. And if it's tokenized, then eventually that has potential to be traded in external markets as well. So again, just a vision at this stage, but this is one of the things we see becoming a leader in the blockchain platform, and starting with EVs and their batteries can enable us to this type of a future, and having not only the CO2, the GEI on the platform, but other data related to the vehicle, such as its odometer, its accident history, inspection, battery, state of health, and so forth. And as mentioned, our other product lines, digital products, luxury items, also have real potential to use a platform like this. So we're excited for that future. We really believe that being part of Mobi and developing the standards and having a part of the ITN is really key for this. As such, though, we realize we can't do it alone. So we're very open to collaboration with other members or anybody who's listening. If you're interested, please do get in touch with us. We'll be happy to talk. That's the end for me. I'll hand back to Takegawa-san now, just to conclude.
Okay, thank you, Zach. Takegawa again. So, kind of wrapping up. So what we wanted to tell you today was, I think there's like 7 points. First one is the secondary market is very important for EVs. Second one is Japan is the second largest power. Third one is so there's 7 million used car transactions, 70% of that can be purchased through. Number 4, AIS inspects more than 1 million cars annually. What AIS adopt is and will become a de facto standard. The 6th point was some of our mottos are customer first and authenticity. So that makes the world. I would say Aucnet has always been a CDC focused company from the start. And then lastly, the EVs and EV batteries will become one of the major term items of the circular economy, and Aucnet is aiming to be a major contributor. So just lastly, remember I talked about baseball in the Dominican Republic again. So the baseball in the Dominican Republic has grown so much. 50 some years ago, not many players, not many played baseball there, except American school kids. But 30 years ago, 1990, the Japanese professional baseball team Hiroshima established a baseball academy in the Dominican Republic. Academia del Baseball Hiroshima. The team under this academy then got stronger and stronger, and young boys' dreams was, in the Dominican Republic, was to become a professional baseball player in Japan. And now the Dominican Republic is very strong and won the WBC baseball. And now there are many, many, many Major League Baseball players. Well, I wish they had umpires or video assistant referees and blockchain technology in the Dominican Republic at the time when we were kids. Similarly, 37 years ago, bad used car dealers around the world would rewind the odometer, but nowadays there are less and less. And thanks to the blockchain technology, it's going to be impossible or very, very difficult to alter or change the accurate information to something not true anymore. So I hope Aucnet and AIS will contribute to the growth of the EV and EV battery industry. Thank you again, Jaja, and also to Mr. Sasha Fukawa of Mobi for letting this happen. And we wish the success of Mobi and everyone involved in the community and the industry. And we'll try to answer your questions now. Thank you.
Well, thank you both. Wonderful presentation. So we have a question in the chat box from Jacob Bates.
Yeah.
He asks, realistically, how far away is the grading system for EV batteries? Will those checks be completed without removing the battery through OBD2 or some other method?
Okay, I'll try to answer that question. We have many companies coming to Aucnet and AIS and for this technology. And we have NDAs with how many companies? 4 or 5? 4 or 5 companies. And AIS is now having a very detailed discussion with one Japanese inspection company. And they they think they proposing that they can inspect the SOH without removing the batteries from the cars, and we'll start. They have the prototype experimental battery inspection equipment already, but I think they're starting to be able to actually inspect them maybe next year, 2023. That's what they are saying. And through OBD2 or some other method, let me just talk in Japanese for a while. OBD2 使うんだっけ？AI そんなしてんだけど。
両方、
自分たちでもこうやって。
どちらか一方でなくて、両方使える方法で今検討はしてます。
それが例の言えないけど AI がやってる。
両方ですね。
So the next second one says through OBD2 or some other method, and it's the answer is I mean they use both OBD2 and their technology from connecting to the battery itself through a charger kind of thing. So to kind of repeat, how far away? It's going to be 2023. Will those checks complete without removing the batteries? Yeah, yes, they are trying to do so. And through OBD2 or some other method is yes, both from OBD2 and through the charger connection. And I would also say that there are other methods like using the real-time data from the batteries connecting to the cloud. But that technology is also, technology itself is, I think, very fascinating. But the point is that the OEM vehicle manufacturers does not want the real-time online connection of the information going out to other third parties. So if they allow the members of OP2, if OEM allows to do that, there will be more efficient and accurate, I think, SOH rating through that technology too. But realistically, the first one I mentioned is going to be, I think, coming next year. I think we have a second question.
Yeah, the second question was from me. So you mentioned grading system. Do you have some more details on on what basis do you do the grading system, or what parameters do you use in the grading system?
Let me speak in Japanese here for assistance. So pause.
そこはまだ。
Based on 何にSo I'm sorry, we're talking Japanese. I think the answer is we are trying to, not necessarily we, but the companies that are proposing the inspection system they're like, as I mentioned, we have 4 or 5 different NDAs with different companies. So each company has different ideas, but I think it's not decided yet, but it's mostly I would assume they're I mean, they're explaining their trying to come up with algorithm and studying thousands of used EV batteries and come up with an algorithm that would make an accurate grading. And I'm not sure we can answer that question from Raja today. I'm sorry. That's where we are today.
No problem. No problem. Any other questions for our presenters? Please deposit them in the chat box.
Was our voices clear today?
Yes, yes.
Great.
Have you done any market studies on the battery circular economy, like among your customers, especially for EVs? It's just a question that kind of popped into my mind. Have you
Yeah.
done any market research?
I don't think the answer is not we, but obviously we're learning from Obi, and we're learning from the companies that we're facing. As I mentioned, 4 or 5 companies or more coming from different parts of the world, and that's where we are. And just giving you some idea in the Japanese market of the used cars, and is like 0.2% of the used car market is the EV cars. So it's very, very small, but the numbers are increasing day by day. So I think in 2 or 3 years, that will significantly grow to, I don't know, 20%, 30%. And you also know most of the Japanese OEM manufacturers are now shifting to the EV cars. I think the problem is that due to some difficulties in the supply chain, the new cars are not coming in so quickly for the regular cars and also for the EVs right now. So that will make the used car market very, the price of the used cars are growing, I mean, increasing. So we know those facts, like we have only 0.2% of the used cars market is EVs, but it's going very fast, and all the manufacturers are shifting to EVs, but they have difficulties in the supply chain. And so that's where we are. And we're very confident that the EV shift is going to come in the next 2 or 3 years, starting from the new cars. Did I answer your question? Maybe not.
Yes, you did. Sorry, I was muted. Any other questions in the chat box?
So Raja, are you in LA, or what part of the world are you in?
I am in Texas,
You're
Dallas,
in
Texas.
So it might be it's pretty kind of late in the evening.
Yeah, it's kind of dinner time.
Sorry about that.
All right, if there are no further questions, then we'll call it a day. Thank you both for your presentations, and hope to see you in our working groups.
Right.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.
Bye.
Bye.